Presenting the Brick House Podcast. The Brick House. Here comes the boom.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Brick House Podcast. My name is Matthew Brick, and today's a good day. I have someone very special, a person that I went to Spain with, a good guy, someone who has now given me a few rides here or there. Just a good guy. We got to know each other a little bit, and I'm excited for you guys to get to know him. Thomas Degraw, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you again too. Well, let's start into it. We went to Spain, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. Now being back, how is that going for you?
It's good. Spain was a great experience. Loved the people, loved all the action of walking and contemplating all that solitude that you talked about in your previous episode. Coming back, it's I'm not going to say weird because I still move in my day to day. I still do solitude in my day to day. But largely it's different because I don't have that community of people who are devoted to the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, some things that I've been some practices that I haven't not stopped doing. I did try solitude, actually. I tried, or in the way that they had us do out in Spain, I tried walking in total silence. But the only problem is where I live and if I go out this neighborhood, it's just all these cars.
Yeah.
I've been doing Letro Divina, which was a practice we did out there. But yeah, I mean, I've realized how much distraction, how, at least with my phone for starters, they had said, when you're out there 10 days, it was nothing. And then coming back, it's okay, I'm starting to catch myself again. I'm falling, just, always scrolling or something. So
There you go.
mhm.
What was the first thing you did on your phone? Now I'm interviewing you.
No, yeah, interview, yeah, whatever.
What was the first thing you did on your phone when you got back?
Let's think. I should know this, but well, I can tell you this. The night that we got back, I told myself I'm not going to look at my phone. So I did not look at my phone. But then the morning of, probably texting people. I didn't go on Instagram or YouTube, but probably Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for me personally, first thing I did was I started listening to music.
Oh,
That's my drug. That's my addiction. I don't know if part of my brain chemistry is just more euphoric when you listen to music, but I'm always listening to music. I always got a little tune going on in my head. So first thing I did, I listened to some music.
Well, going off of music, tell us, because I know this, but I don't know if the people listening know this, but you love music and you have you're having a piece that you're working on, which it's crazy to me because when you told me this, I didn't ever think that you put so much time and effort into one piece. But yeah, tell us what is music to you? What do you love about it? Maybe a little bit about the piece that you're doing and all of that.
So the piece that I told you about previously is Serpent's Kiss by William Bolcom. It's a jazz duo, so it's me and another person on two different pianos. It's categorized, I believe, as progressive jazz, which I'll explain for the non-musicians, is jazz, but it breaks a lot of the rules of what you can and can't do in music. So there's sections you've got these big hearty chords, and then randomly it's okay, now tap on the piano. And you've got a piano in front of you and you're expected to
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that. It's a very out there kind of piece. There's parts where you just lay your full body onto the piano. I say full body, but like an arm. And you gave me a lot of hard questions. Okay, so that's the piece. What is music to me? Largely, I think it's different for me in terms of whether I'm performing or whether I'm listening. I think performing, it's about creating a thing in a way that no one else can. So yes, I'm playing pieces that are written by other people, but the texture of the fingers, the speed, the dynamics that I choose to apply to that piece, that's all unique to me. And that is magnified even more so when you start writing your own music, which I did for a little bit. I'm not very good at it. But I think as an audience member, it's about picking up on the message of the music that is specific to the composer. So kind of the opposite in the sense of I want to receive what is being given to me.
Mm. Yeah. And like, what do you do with that? Like, okay, you're given this music. Is there like now a place where you want to like give it back to, or like is there a drive, like a drive in you that that compels you to make the music or play the music, like, and then also listen to it, or if that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll make this metacognitive for a moment, and then I'll come back. Um, we're both religious men. Everything I do is for God.
Yeah.
But I think what I want to do with that in terms of earthliness, in terms of like what I can do now, I think it's all about the message that I want to convey. If I'm playing a sad piece, I want to convey that message. I want to convey, yes, the author wrote this and this is my own spin on it. If I'm an audience member, I'm hearing this fast-paced running piece of a bold march, and it's like, okay, there's a sense of pride that should be evoked, and I'm going to let myself feel that.
Mm. Yeah, no, I love music. Like, obviously, I haven't at all even like played, I maybe did a few, like, I did a few piano lessons and then I've done stuff like that. But so I can't really relate on that sense of like understanding musical notes and understanding the instrument, and then like to be on the other side of like playing music for others and having other people receive that. But I can tell you, like, I get like you said music is a drug, and I think for I don't know if I do it like that, but I, music like has always been what I realized. And until I didn't realize this, like there was a period I never knew this until I went to my wilderness program where didn't listen to music for 11 weeks. And then I was like, oh shoot, this actually, I had never even thought of it before. So like, man, music actually, like, you don't, yeah, music does mean something to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good way of looking at the gift of song and the lack of song. Um, you say like I didn't have music in the wilderness for 11 weeks. Like, yes, I agree with that. Like, you're not listening to the newest Katy Perry song.
No.
I know how much you love Katy Perry.
Oh yes, always.
But comparing that to like one of the guys on our Spain trip said, like, sometimes it's hard for me to do solitude because I hear the rhythm of my steps, and that breaks my solitude because I start thinking of songs that are in that beat. And I think like your existence in its own way is a kind of song. Your heart has a rhythm to it, your step has a rhythm to it, your internal monologue or your thoughts or whatever you want to call it is almost like a narrator of like who you are. Like you look at bards and like minstrels of old, they're telling stories in the form of song, and in a way that is still carried on through your own likeness. Like you look at, for example, like I'm not sure that there's a proper title. It's either slave songs or like field songs, something like that.
Yeah.
You look at those, and those are like completely vocal. There's no instrumental to that kind of thing. And it's songs about strife. It's songs about work or hope or religion or whatever it may be. Again, I think there's still a kind of song present in all existence.
Yeah. No, I had heard this something, and I had said this previously on one of my episodes. I don't know where, but like there was something about like somewhere in the Bible had said something about like how all living creatures will sing praise to God, and they like well you know this and everything moves at a certain frequency, and so I guess from what I've heard that like the stars in heaven like they have their or stars in space but they have their own frequency right too, and I saw it so I saw it on like a short so but I heard something about just how like that frequency is actually technically like a song, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, there's lots of cool stuff in space. Something that I say to some of my friends is like, h- yeah, like how dare you be bored in such an interesting world? Because there's so much stuff out there
Hmm.
that is known, but that I don't know personally or you don't know personally. Like, if you're bored, go read a medical article. Like, go go read a book. And I know that's like super old timey to say like go read a book, but
Hmm.
it's it's that idea of like look at all the stuff around you. Why are you not doing something with it?
Mm.
Like go study space. Go like you're bored. Okay, do something.
Yeah. No, I think I've never been a big books guy or um but you know, yeah. I think and even like some of the curriculum that we have at Valor, this or that, but like what I've realized is and if it's not like well, like being in Spain when we realize like okay, here's a whole new like community or culture that I haven't been in. I don't speak the language, this or that. Like I guess when I'm in a surrounding that I'm not very like when I'm in my day-to-day life and I'm surrounded by a lot of the same people, I tend to like get comfortable. But what I've realized is when I'm a little bit pushed out of that or like I'm just in something new, I realize that like there's still a lot of stuff that I want to learn because like I want to be maybe this ain't the best like motivator, but like I want to be able to fit in and be able to like know what other people know. Like I don't want to be uneducated, you know?
Yeah,
If that
yeah.
makes sense.
I don't there's a lot of like I'm not going to say counterculture, but there's a lot of thought of it's bad to want to fit in. Um, like as a guy who used to not fit in and probably still doesn't, I'll be bold. I don't fit in. I know that. And I'm not ashamed of that.
Yeah.
Um, like I've made conscious choices to be like, yeah, this is who I am. I'm not going to alter this fact so that I can fit in. But there's also like no shame in wanting to fit in because
Mm.
there's a comfort in having a community. And you can have a community if you don't fit in. I have a great group of friends. I've got great family. I'm just a weird guy.
Well, we're all a little weird.
We're all a little weird, but
If you got to know me, you know?
that's true. Um, but yeah, I think there's no shame in wanting to fit in. I think um, there's a certain level of comfort that will come with having a community of like-minded people. Same thing that I was talking about earlier. The weirdest part of coming back from Spain was not having that community.
Mm. Yeah. No, I hear that is true. Which actually is weird because like I had prayed when I got back, like, Lord, let me be like because I didn't know how I was gonna fill my time. Because it is something weird about going from walking in the countryside of Spain to coming back here and it's just okay, what am I supposed to do now with that? And I'm not like
Volunteer.
yeah, volunteer. All right. Yeah, there's certain things that like that I want to do like that for sure. But like, I'll continue. But basically, I had said like I had prayed like Lord, give me something to do, and yes, like looking back, maybe I shouldn't like I don't want distractions, but definitely when I first came back, I was like, Lord, I need something, and I've been keeping busy actually, but you know, I actually this past week I had like a Bible study, which like out of the blue, and it's not with it like any Valor students. I gotta go with some kids from TJ, um, Thomas Jefferson, and yeah, I mean so, but yeah, I think there's this sense of um like purpose because I feel like we were given like a clear purpose out there, and then especially during summertime. Like if you're not working, if you're not this or that, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, my mother's a flight attendant,
Yeah.
so I get to fly a lot, which is a great blessing in my life. I've been to, I believe, over half of the states in the United States. I've been to three or four different continents, um, and part of that comes with I get to see and do things that most people don't get to do. For example, I'm Peruvian,
Yeah.
you know this. Um, I'm going to Peru in early August, and there's a lake in Peru called Titicaca. Haha, funny name. Um, and it's the highest altitude lake in the world. And part of that is there's a group of people who live on man-made islands in Peru. They're made out of reeds, and they are massive, like size of
Mhm.
football fields. Um, and they just live on those. And one time when I was down there, we stayed with one of those families, and they're wonderful people. Care for them very much. And um, I'm going down there in August, like I said, and we are taking clothes to them. And
Yeah.
it's not just like children's clothes, it's all kinds of clothes because they live on an island, and a boat ride to the nearest city is like an hour. So you can't really do that on a weekly or monthly basis for when you need new clothes. And it's a whole village of people. So we're just taking in lots of clothes.
And are you doing this through like just you and your family?
Just me and my family.
Wow.
I sent out a text to a bunch of my friends like, hey, if you have old clothes, give them to me. I don't care. I have the suitcases for
I
it.
got you. I'll give you some.
All right. Yeah. We'll talk about that after.
Okay, okay.
Um, but yeah, like adult clothes, children's clothes, diapers, like we're taking it all because they need it all.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think there's kind of going back to what you said, the objective or goal or having something to do. I think not having that can be very empty. It leaves you with a sort of want.
Mhm. Just hearing you speak and just knowing you are a person who has like this, and I think I said something on the trip about it, but like you just have like this serving, like this act of wanting to serve others, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about that, and like, okay, you said that you've been to a few continents, like I have to ask, like, what is it like going to these continents and seeing how like people completely different live, and then how does that like affect your um perspective on how maybe us Americans live? But I know those are two separate
Yeah. Yeah.
questions,
Yeah. Yeah.
so if I need to reset, whatever.
No, let's get out. Okay. So service and perspectives from different countries. I'll talk about the countries thing first. So, um, I've been to North America, South America, Europe, and Australia, which some people debate whether Australia counts as its own continent. I count it.
Yeah.
It makes my numbers seem better.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I've been to four different continents, and um, like, m granted, there's some times where I do like touristy stuff, like
Hmm.
I'm there to like see the Great Barrier Reef, and that's something I did in Australia. Um, but there's also times where it's like, hey, I'm in Mexico right now in Juarez, which Juarez is one of the worst places to be, just in general. Very poor, uh, very dirty, very hot or very cold, depending on the season. It's just not a nice place to be. It's not a touristy place of Mexico. And you're there and you're working with like kids, and these kids have a massive smile on their face all of the time. And it's like, I've seen kids your age with way more than you, and they're unhappy way more often. So I think part of it is I've gained a perspective of interconnectedness. Um, I start to see like, yeah, this person's Mexican, this person's Finnish, this person's German, this person's Australian. They're all different. They have different titles, but there's not a whole lot separating us.
Mm.
Like, what's this, an 8-hour flight? Like, yeah, that's a lot of distance. Still a person. Still, like, has their own complex thoughts and emotions and backstory. It's it gives me hope. It could certainly give a lot of people an existentialist dread at how big the world is. But I think for me that gives me hope because it shows that we can be united, and that is one of my goals in life. Not perhaps in my own life, but it's a hope for the universe. Just get it together. Get a big old potluck going with everyone from every country. Obviously.
That would be interesting. That would.
Yeah.
I'd love it, but
That'd be cool. One day.
one day.
Um so yeah, I think interconnectedness and a thankfulness for everything that I have. Because I've seen the best and worst of just the world.
Mhm.
Um, and going back to your other question of service, I have to throw that back to my mom. She is a wonderful woman. Mom, you're probably watching this or listening to this, so hey,
What's up?
thanks for raising me right. Um, because I do love serving people. It's something that I always look to do. I'm always looking for ways that I can help people. Um, and I think I'm not going to pinpoint it exactly, but she raised me to serve other people. There's um, like, hey, we're going to go volunteer at this church group. Hey, we're going to go like serve at this food kitchen. Um, and that as a child showed me a lot of like, oh, there's people out there who need help, and I can help with an afternoon where I was going to do nothing. Um, so I think that, from a child perspective, implanted the desire to help other people. And I think nowadays I feel that you heard me say this on the trip a couple of times. God provides, right? God's looking out. God is always there. God's not going to leave you behind.
Mm.
Um, so I have no problem giving freely. I, like you said, I'll give free rides to people who don't have a driver's license because it doesn't cost me anything. Like, yeah, I use a lot more gas than I would if I just went home, but I feel better at the end of the day. And I guess you could call that selfish, like, well, he's just doing it to feel better, which, yeah, maybe, but also it's just fulfilling. Uh, it doesn't cost me anything to be nice. Um, so I think I look for ways to be nice throughout my day-to-day life.
Wow, that sounds like a slogan. Like, it doesn't cost to be nice. And I've heard that. You know, and like, I love that. I absolutely love that. Um, I'm not even gonna be here and stand here that I get that right. Like,
I mean, I absolutely get it wrong. Like I said, there's definitely a selfish level to it
yeah,
of I want to feel good because I did good. Um, and that's probably its own philosophical question in itself.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not going to sit here either and pretend that I'm perfect because I like to give people food.
Yeah, no. Well, and this is one of my friends right now, favorite verse or something, but like, why do you look at the speck of dust in my eye when you have your own plank, like in your own eye or something? I know I butchered that, but I mean, and it also goes like, why judge when you too will be judged? Like, we'll all like, we're like, no one is not guilty of doing it themselves, and like that's something I find myself like. I can tell you when I first, we got in our Spain group, I was like, okay, I don't know why, but I felt like for whatever reason, just like maybe a little bit cocky or like, and I definitely don't think I show it always, but in my mind, like I definitely think like, and it's, like when looking back, I think like, who are you to think that, Matthew? Um, but yeah, I like what you said, and it definitely also with like just being and like with everything that I have, like there is a sense of wanting to be more grateful and having gratitude and like leaning more into like for the people who like aren't that don't have a voice, or for those who like I think maybe some president says it, but it's for the people that are like disfavored, people that aren't like
Um, yeah, no, I think there's definitely I mean, you and I both go to a private Christian school. We both live in good, stable homes. We have the lights on. We worry not where our next meal is going to come from. It's it gives us a baseline level of comfort.
yeah.
Um, like you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. It at least you get to have days, right? That's another thing that
Definitely.
I'm very thankful for is like the gift of thought, of the ability to perceive and understand. Like you look out into the animal kingdom, right? Most animals can't understand their own reflections. Like I think it's apes, dolphins, and magpies for some
I
reason.
don't know what
Just
a magpie is.
it's a bird. It's the little white and black bird that's floating around here.
I might have seen, yeah.
Yeah, probably like it's one of the few birds that can recognize its own reflection.
But how deep though?
Like they recognize it is themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but you look at that and that's not sentience. Like that's not a dolphin might recognize itself in a mirror and go, "Oh, that's me. I'm gonna do a little dance in front of it," and be like, "Oh, that's cool." But it's not going like, "Ah, this is me. I see all of this. I recognize this. I understand what this is." That's not something that dolphins do. So you look around and you see like suffering or you see grace, and I I think just like at least I get to have days, good or bad. I get to have them.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I'm also very thankful for.
Thankful. Yeah. Um, so I just have to ask, like, I want to get into it a little bit, but I do want to know, like, what does God mean to you, and like, how do you express your like spiritually, and just tell us how, like, because obviously, well, yeah, just tell us about that. Yeah, you tell us.
Yeah. So, for those of you who are watching on video, hello again. You can obviously see I'm wearing a head wrap. I am not a Muslim. I am a Sikh,
Hmm.
Sikh, and we believe in one God. It's not a Christian offshoot. It's largely an Indian religion. But for me, God is God is love. God is the provider. Um, Again, the phrase that I said several times in Spain, God provides. Um, the the spirituality that I try to embody and present to other people is just one of like thankfulness and grace. Um, I want to give and I want to receive freely, and a lot of people might raise an eyebrow at like receive freely. Well, obviously, it doesn't cost you anything to receive, but it's kind of like the thing I was saying before. Um, there's no like there is a level of shame that is common of, oh, I feel bad because I have this thing and others don't. So I try to receive freely. Everything that I have is something that God has given me.
Mm.
So be thankful for it. Don't be ashamed of the things that you have. Granted, don't be greedy, don't be
Yeah.
gluttonous, but everything's a double-edged sword if you look at it close enough. Um, So, yeah, my spirituality is largely just one of thankfulness,
One of thankfulness.
what if I had to summarize.
All right. Yeah, no, that's great. And maybe to tie this off, but what are your like ambitions with that, if that makes sense? Like, what are like some things that you could see yourself doing in your life that, um, I don't know, like is there, because you said at the beginning of this, like a lot of what come like what like kind of dictates your choices in life and the way you perceive things and go about things, or to honor God. And I don't know, I'd love to hear like what are some like things that you want to do in life, or like yeah, what do you want to do in life? Like what like is you're going to be a senior, you're going to be graduating. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that too. And yeah, just what are you about? What do you want to do?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I largely just want to keep kind of doing the same thing. Obviously, we're all going to grow and change. I'm 17 right now. I'm not going to be the same person in 8 years. But from there, I largely just want to keep being a good person. And
Mm.
obviously, what defines a good person, yada yada. Lots of philosophy behind all of that. Um, but I want to keep like presenting goodness. Obviously, I'm a flawed person, not perfect. I do bad things, but I want to share goodness with the rest of the people that I am going to encounter in my life. Um, you mentioned like, yeah, I'm going to be a senior. I'm going to college. Um, that's exciting and scary in its own right.
But
I look forward to going to college. It's going to be a great experience. I feel good about it. I'm not like a party guy.
yeah.
I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna join a fraternity. Let's go alpha, beta, delta, whatever it is, right? Um, I might join a fraternity. I don't know.
I could see that maybe just a little bit.
I could be a frat boy,
My
probably.
grandpa and my uncle, they joined something. They have told me so many times. Yeah, I forgot. Sigma Chi, I think,
Ah,
or something.
um, yeah, but yeah, I'm excited for college. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for um, just for me to kind of grow into fruition of who I want to be. And granted, I don't fully know who I want to be. We'll see who that ends up being.
Mm.
Um, but I want to keep just like learning things, expressing things, talking about things. Um, there's a lot that I want to talk about. Just like, hey, here's a cool science fact, or like, hey, here's a cool book I read. Um, and to an extent, I do talk about that. I have a podcast. Um,
Check them out.
uh, yeah. Anyways, the yeah. So obviously, I have that, but also I want to like I want to allow myself to experience life. There's a lot that people are afraid of like, oh, I have to get engrossed in all of these studies and I have to do this club or I have to join this or I have to like avoid that. And yes, obviously there's things in life that you should avoid and there's things in life that you should pursue. But also I think like things have to happen. Like you can't be the only work in your life. Other things are going to happen that are going to affect you. So I want to just let that happen.
Let it happen. Um, is there, well, you say you want to talk about things. Is there a thing that you want to tell people, like a fun fact or something interesting, something that you've read recently? I don't know. Leave that open right there.
Um, okay. This is go wow, that came out of nowhere. I got to think real quick. Hang on. Yeah, let's talk about this. So this is going to sound morbid a little bit, but just bear with me here. So we're going to talk about death for a little bit.
Okay.
For a lot of people, death is scary.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a fear of the unknown that allows us to be anxious or afraid or whatever it might be. Um, but I don't think death is necessarily something to fear. It's more of a marker of this is the end. Like, this is where your story ends. Um, Granted, I do believe in reincarnation. That's its own
Yeah.
thing. But so to an extent, not an end, but based off your personal belief system.
Yeah.
But I don't think death is something that you should be afraid of, because if you exist, I'm going to quote a Greek philosopher here, Epicurus or Epicurus, I'm not quite sure. If you exist, then death does not exist. And if death exists, then you do not exist. So why would you be afraid of something that cannot exist while you exist?
My
And
mind is twisted right there.
Just don't be afraid. Like, most people are like, "Oh, I'm afraid of this thing because it might kill me." I mean, avoid things that are going to kill you. Definitely do that. Be
Yeah.
alive. That's something that you want to do. But um, don't be afraid of things. And death is kind of like the big scary. So that's why I started talking about that. I'm a big fan of Dune. I love Dune. Even
Yeah.
before it got made into these last two movies, I love Dune. Fourth book is the best book.
So you've read all the books.
I've read all the books.
So you know how it all ends and everything?
I know how it all ends.
Let's just spoil it right here and now.
No.
Oh, okay.
I love Dune too much to spoil it for people who want to read it. But
Okay.
definitely read it. Beyond the first book, it gets weird, but it also gets better. Fourth book is the best book. There's 6 total. So from there, where was I going with the Dune thing? Oh, yes. The litany against fear. For those of you who've seen Dune, you've probably heard it. Those of you who've not, I'll do a quick little recitation. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the final death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. Fear, wait, hang on. I will face my fear. I will allow it to pass over and through me. And when it is gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. And where fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain.
Wow.
I like reading. That's my
No,
thing.
yeah. But to memorize it too?
Yeah. Just don't be afraid of things. Like, life is scary. Yeah. Bad things are going to happen. But it's like I said before, you're going to have good days and bad days, but at least you get to have days, right? Like,
Praise God right there.
praise God. God
Yeah.
provides the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you may be in pain right now, or there's hurt that you can see over the horizon, but beyond that, there's still good to come. There's good that you cannot see. And if you are afraid of things that might come, or you're afraid to accept the situation that you're currently in, I think you're going to miss out even more so on what life has.
Man, that is great. That is good. And yeah, I don't that you said it perfectly. And I think, yeah, fear, anxiety. I just previously, like not even an hour before this podcast, I'd watched Inside Out 2. And the new emotion
All right.
the new emotion is anxiety.
Mm.
I don't know. Yeah, or anxiety is the fear of what hasn't happened yet, or the fear of what could happen.
Yep.
And obviously, you know what the color is of this new emotion? Orange. My mom points that out because, well, my favorite color is orange, and I tend to be a worry. Like when I'm in my own thoughts, and some people have seen it. I don't show it as much as school and maybe social gatherings, but I tend to be and I don't want to proclaim this on myself, but I have been a worrier a little bit. So, well, my family be like listening in, but yeah, no, I attest to that. I just like, who are you to worry? It won't add a second to your life. Like, yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing that you will add to your life by thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. And like, well, I know Jesus said this, but it was like, look at the birds. The birds are fed too. Like, and I mean that can be like taken as many ways, but I mean, just even in this world, like someone put it this way. I like this way, but you trust in, like, when you get on a bus, you trust the bus driver. When you get on an airplane, you trust the pilot. Like, how many times, or like right now, I'm trusting the seat that I'm taking
Seat in?
a seat in. Yes. I mean, who knows? Like, like who knows? Like this world could end today. Like there's no, I mean, I don't know. But what the point I'm trying to make is none of us know. And that is so hard to like say that, or it's easy to say this and then not to live it out. But if I can make one point, let's just like keep trying. Trying is the start of many things, and let's try to not live our lives in fear, like you said.
That's a good way of putting it. Keep trying.
Keep trying. When
Right.
when you fail, try again, or something like that. Keep on moving, keep on swimming, type deal. Oh yeah, good.
Did you quote Nemo?
Oh yeah.
I don't want to laugh into the mic because it might like, but
That's all good.
you're a funny guy, Brick. You're a great guy. I love getting to know you in Spain. I think you have a lot that I think will turn you into a good, godly person in the future. I think you're going to, uh, yeah, everyone has obstacles, and I think you said specifically anxiety is something that you used to struggle with or still do. Um, yeah, from what I've seen of you, compared to what you've told me of yourself previously, you've come far, and you've still far to go.
Oh yeah.
So,
But it's not through my own doing.
no,
I believe it's through God's strength.
yes,
Um,
bless up.
yeah, for sure. And just same goes for you. Like, the first time I met you, I had like, I just like, I didn't know yet what we could have like, if I were to have first met you, or when I first met you, I didn't think we'd probably do this. Cause like, I didn't know, like, just even like, sometimes you can look at people and be like, oh, I think I can have a lot in common with them. And like, obviously, I don't try to not talk to people if they, like, if I think that they're going to have a lot in common with me or not. Like, I want to try to, like, get to know everyone at least a little bit. But no, I mean, it is great. And like, just seeing, same goes for you. I really believe you're going to change people, change people's hearts. And we need that. We need that for people. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right. Is it okay if we go into the last segment?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. This is my last question. And maybe you've already kind of answered it, but let's imagine you were in front of a student body, or you were in front of the listeners or viewers right now. If there's a message that you want to end it off on, what would you have to say to them?
God provides.
There you go. God provides. Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you. And now you can say you've been on the Brick House podcast.
I've been on the Brick House podcast. It's a wonderful experience. Those of you at Valor or who know Brick personally, give it a try. There's some interesting stuff that you might end up talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, if you listen to this and are like, I want to be on it, please reach out. I need people. This is a community. Love you guys. Welcome to thank you for listening in. Bye.
Pleasure being here.